Josh, have you guys been able to simulate a little bit at all, do some scrimmaging or anything like that, just to try to stay in rhythm given the long layoff here?
Yeah, I mean, the two practices we had yesterday and today were pretty similar to the ones we had after the end of the regular season when we had that 6-7 day break. So it was good to get up and down, stay in game shape, get some live reps against each other, the coaches. But it's been a good couple of days, and I think we're preparing the right way. We don't know who we're playing yet, but we're staying fit, staying ready, and guys have been getting off for the last 2 days.
The thing that stood out was just the competitive level that you guys were able to get to all 4 of those games, even after a long layoff. Why do you think that you guys were able to actually deliver that, despite having had some time off?
Yeah, I mean, I think there was a bit of rust in that first game. Whether that was a week off or whatever it was. But I think after that first game, we shook that off pretty quickly, and we're back to business as normal. And hopefully the next time we play a game, we don't have that same kind of slow start. But yeah, as I said, I mean, we prepared the right way. We've done all the right things. We've had 2 good days these last 2, and guys are getting after it, staying in shape. So, the long break is not an excuse to have a slow start. I think, we'll be ready to come game 1.
Josh, after going through the first 4 games of the playoffs and that being your first experience, what are some of the biggest takeaways for you personally, things that you've learned in the playoffs?
Yeah, I think the adjustments each game, they made them, we made them, and it's like you're playing the same team, so if you lose one game, you win one game. Both teams are going to change certain things, and they threw different looks at us, different lineups. We did different things, so that's kind of the back and forth battle that teams have, and obviously the atmosphere that we played in front of in game 1 and 2 was unbelievable. And but I thought outside of that, the actual game itself, it didn't feel too different from a regular season game. Besides, obviously everything's heightened. It's the playoffs. They're important games, but obviously the adjustment thing was big. But outside of that, it felt pretty normal.
With it feeling normal, how much of that is a testament to all the work that you guys put in during the 82 game season?
It's important because you don't want to get to the playoffs and try and do things you haven't done before. But we've built all the right habits through 82 games, through training camp and things like that. So come playoff time, we've got all the right things in place and we know what to do, and we can fall back on certain things. And it's important to build those things over 82 games, and we did that the right way. And it's for moments like this and series in the playoffs where if things aren't working, you have things to fall back on that you've practiced throughout the year.
Josh, with that, just the adjustments game to game, you mentioned both teams changed. I just wonder, after each win, knowing the things that maybe helped you win the game, the previous game, not knowing if they'll work, what is that like from game to game?
Yeah, I mean, it is hard because obviously you don't know what the team's going to do. You don't know the adjustments they're going to make. And I think, if you win in two games, 3 games, a lot of the adjustments are on the other team. We did a lot of things right in game 2 and 3 in particular. So it's not like we had to come out and change a whole lot, but you have to be ready for teams making adjustments and things like that. And we made ours, and it's never anything that's over the top that is maybe overly noticeable from a fan perspective. But there's definitely changes both teams make, and it's hard to predict and guess what the other team's going to do. But you've got to be ready for everything.
Your perspective of the clip that's going viral since in the locker room after the game with Mark just getting doused with water. What was your perspective there? What do you remember from that?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously, one, it was to celebrate him winning, Coach of the Year. It was that day or the day before. And 2, just, kind of celebrate these small wins. You win a series, you advance. And he's obviously had a lot to do with the growth here, not only this year, but the last, 4 or 5 years, however long he's been here. So it was a great chance to kind of recognize that, celebrate him. And he's a big part of it. He's a huge part of the success we're having, right now. And guys that acknowledge that, in the locker room after the game. But it just shows how together we are as a team and how much we love each other and love being around each other.
To be clear, to start the clip, he's talking to you, right?
Well, he was actually walking around the locker room kind of just pointing to everybody, and it just happened in the clip. He was looking at me, so it does look good. But no, he was actually kind of going around the room.
How often do you hear him talk like that?
Not often. I mean, that was kind of the first time he's come in the locker room and said stuff like that. He was obviously excited like we all were, but, he's kind of the head of the snake, and anytime he gets excited, the rest of us get behind it.
You were a big part of that fourth quarter win in New Orleans. Where's your confidence at right now? Is it the highest it's been this season?
I mean, it's good. I mean, anytime you're making shots and things are going the right way for you, you naturally feel more confident. But just understanding that it's in the past now. The made shots don't carry over to the next series. So starting fresh, having a clean mindset, and going to the next series, as its own thing.
Did it feel good though to help out? Because at the time it looked like New Orleans had the momentum, and then all of a sudden you hit a couple of shots, you had to steal in the lane. It kind of changed for the Thunder's way.
Yeah, I mean, we wanted to end the series that night, and we had to make some plays. And guys were attacking it, being aggressive, and New Orleans was helping. They were rotating, and I happened to be on the end of a couple, skip passes and extra passes. And the guys did a good job of finding me, and I just tried to step up, be confident, knock down shots.
You had the great strip steal late in that game. Throughout the series, really kept guys in front of you and played solid defense. You even had one of those kind of classic Lou plays against McCollum where you defend all possession. He hits a crazy shot. Did you commiserate with Lou at all after that? And just more seriously, how do you feel about the defensive series that you put together?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was good, and I spoke about it, in the press conference after the game that, the playoffs is when teams will attack a guy and try and play them off the floor, and I've never wanted to be that guy. I've had a lot of conversations with Coach. We've watched a lot of film on that end of the floor, and just knowing my role, and you're guarding the same guy and same couple guys for the same 4 games. It's like you understand personnel. You as a team understand what you're trying to do defensively, and I just tried to lock into that as much as I could. Try to take pride one-on-one guarding my guy, and then being help off the ball to Dub and Lou when they got in these main guys. So, I'm trying to take more pride in that end of the floor and not, maybe taking possessions off to save energy or whatever it is, but being locked in every possession and not being a guy that teams, can target.
Josh, I meant to ask you this after Game 4, but you had those 3 big threes in the fourth. Do you have any chance to sort of catch up with Chip after the game, and what was that sort of like?
Yeah, I mean, he sent me a text. He tries to let the game kind of simmer and take the emotion out of it before we speak. But we talk every day. Whether we're in here together every day. If he's not here, we texting and calling, and he's been great. He just told me he's proud of me and all the work you put in. They're kind of the stages you wanted to come out on, and I love that guy. We've spent a lot of time together the last 2 years, and he's obviously been a big part of developing me and helping me stay confident, stay ready, and be able to shoot those shots, with confidence.
Josh, this is now the second straight time that you've kind of prepared for an opponent that you don't really know who it's going to be yet. When do you start looking externally versus internally when you're preparing?
Yeah, I mean, you do a few things here and there, and you kind of, broadly, scheme for different guys. But, we're not going to know who we're playing until maybe tonight. It could be, Monday or Tuesday. So I guess when the series is over, we know who we're playing. That's when we'll really have a game plan and lock in. But until then, I mean, it's kind of broad. You put obviously the couple main handlers, but outside that, we'll prepare. So when either Dallas wins tonight or they finish in Game 7.
Thank you, Josh.
Thanks, Josh.
I'm not.
Jalen, Josh was saying that the last couple of days here in practice have felt pretty similar to the ones that you had after the end of the regular season. What's been key for you all in terms of maintaining a rhythm and getting what you need to get done here this week?
Yeah, I think our coaches do a really great job of putting us in situations and putting us through drills that they feel like we need to work on. Of course, like they say, it's stacking possessions, and there's a lot of games that we played, or a lot of minutes that we played in those last 4 games, and there's things that we need to work on, and I feel like those are things that we've been working on, just keeping in general.
After going through 4 games of the playoffs now, with that being your first experience, what are some of your biggest takeaways for you personally, things that you've learned about the playoffs?
It's way more physical. A lot of physical basketball. The environment is crazy. The crowd, you can feed off the crowd to an extent, and I like it. I like that version of basketball.
Josh was mentioning there was also a sense of normalcy just with those games, considering that you guys built those habits through 82 games of the regular season. Did you feel that way as well?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that the way that we played basketball was much different, just based off of they want us to play that way throughout the season. They want us to play the right way, so I feel like it just carried.
Well, I want to get your perspective from the clip that went viral that Dub posted just from the locker room after Game 4, the clip where Mark just gets water poured on him. What was your perspective there, and what were kind of the emotions surrounding that?
Yeah, I was close to the entrance, so we were all just sitting around. We passed out the water. Some of us had the cold ones from the fridge, and some of us had the ones out the top. And before he walked in, somebody was like, hide him, so he doesn't see it. And so he walked right past me, and then as soon as he walked past me, he said 2 words, and then it just went crazy. And it's fun. I think it shows that our team loves those fun moments, and also we were celebrating him. He won Coach of the Year. We were congratulating him. We didn't get to do that because we had a game. We were focused on that, but it was just fun that we were able to do that as a team.
How often do you see him that fired up?
I think there's a good amount of times where he's been fired up, but it's fun. It's fun for him to get out of his shell sometimes and do things like that.
About talks about the playoffs being different. Did you notice anything different in New Orleans? You played them 3 times before that they didn't do in the regular season. They did in the playoffs, or it's just more intense. Any differences in terms of schemes, things they showed you that they didn't show you in the regular season?
No, I would say that it was pretty much the same. Honestly, their team didn't change really. They have the same personnel. They play their brand of basketball, so I wouldn't say. Besides physicality went up to another level.
Regardless of who you play coming up, the team is going to have a rolling big man, guy that's going to put pressure on you through the middle of the floor. What have been some things that you've learned being in that position defensively in terms of dealing with those middle pick and rolls?
Yeah, I think there's a lot that goes into it. You have to factor in who else is on the court, who's coming off the screen, who's guarding the screen, who's the low man if it's open side. There's a lot that goes into it, and I think it varies on what the look is, but it changes game to game. You just got to be ready for every situation.
It appears you're the ringleader on the bench. When guys make a big shot, you're the one with the big smile on your face or standing up or whatever. Just how'd that come about?
Yeah, I mean, it's just me being happy for my teammates. I'm happy for them to succeed. I'm happy to see them hit shots, dunk on guys, whatever it is. I'm happy for them, and the way that I feel like this team is built, that we're happy for each other. We're happy to see each other succeed, and it's just fun for me. It keeps me engaged with the game. It's just a fun thing, just me being myself out there.
Is that naturally how you are, just something you've had to develop over time?
I feel like I've always been like that. I've been happy for my teammates. Even at Arkansas, I feel like I was a great teammate, and with this team, I feel like it's more fun because you can yell at somebody. Like I yell at Dub on the court, he's gonna yell right back at me. Or I yell with Shea, he's gonna try hard to keep a straight face, but when we walk back to the bench, he's gonna start laughing. So it's just fun having those relationships we have on this team.
Jay, well, how much you guys switch? What's the sort of the preparation like? Can you really lock in on one matchup, or do you kind of have to spread yourself around, sort of watching a bunch of guys?
I think that every defensive coverage is 5-on-5. I think that it's our whole team going against the guy or going against the ball, guarding the ball. And switching might change a couple of the concepts that we're in, but I think at the end of the day, it's always going to be 5 guys that have to be in the right spots, right rotations, and trusting each other to be there.
Is there a watch party tonight?
Not that I know of, but I'm sure that we'll text in our group chat and figure something out.
Will you be watching intently, though?
Yeah, for sure. If I'm at my house, I might be on my video game with the game above me. But yeah, I definitely be watching the game.
Are you watching more fan or more, hey, we might play this team? How you watch it?
Both. Of course, I like to enjoy basketball, just being a fan of basketball, but at the same time, I'm locked in on what they're doing and personnel at the same time.
Now, what's the video game that you'll be playing as you're watching the game?
It changes. I have a group of friends that's like 10 of us that I've been playing video games with since I was in 9th, 10th grade. And we play the game together pretty much every day that I'm home. And we'll play games. It just changes. It honestly changes.
Are you the best?
At a lot of the games, I'm the best, but we vary. There's a guy that's better at Call of Duty. I got Madden. I got 2K. Right now, those are the games we play. I got those two.
And Mario Kart?
Nah. Before my time.
Anything else? Jalen, that last one.
Mark told us yesterday, we found out yesterday that he has a Twitter. Do you ever try to get him to put his thoughts out there on the app?
Nope. No, not at all. I didn't know he had a Twitter. So, I didn't know that.
Mark, Josh, and Jay Will were saying that the practices these last couple of days have really felt similar to the ones that you had immediately out of the end of the regular season. What were some things that were really critical during that time that you guys got done that you tried again to get done here today?
A lot of it's rhythm and conditioning. It's obviously this is a long layoff. You don't want to punch them too hard right before the game. You want to give them the requisite rest, which I think we did coming out of the games. So these 2 days were the most intense practices that we'll have. During this week, it was the same the first time around. And like I said, I thought we were maybe a little rusty in game 1 of that first series. But for the most part, I thought we handled the time well.
How much of a is carried over from the regular season, no matter who you're playing, Dallas or Clippers? Would you carry over? Is it all just based on what you saw this first round?
With the opponent?
With the opponent, yes.
Yeah, I think, it's the teams don't change a ton, and we don't change a ton. I think we have a lot of data points with the teams, and we have a lot of data points, especially with the individual players, and the players improve and change, but their improvements are marginal, so they're not completely changing their game year over year, or certainly regular season into the playoffs. So, every new experience is a new data point. We're watching their series right now very closely, trying to learn a little bit more, but we also have, the games against them from this season, previous years. So you just develop an understanding of the players and the teams and the other coaches over time, and then, you know, take all that information into game one.
Mark, Josh was just saying that, you know, regarding adjustments, like each team obviously changes after each game. I just wonder what your headspace is like after each game, knowing that maybe the things that won you the last game might not work going into the next game. Like, what you think about all that?
Yeah, I think, you know, a lot of it, you know, adjustments, I think they're the most variant, so they get a lot of attention around this time of year. But 80 to 90% of what you're doing is your identity as a team and what you've been doing all season, and same with your opponent. And then you're altering things based on what's happening in the game, how you're getting played, how they're playing you, or how you're playing them. You know, and you're just making little tweaks in terms of lineups, rotations, tactical adjustments. But those are subtle. You know, they're not the whole game. You know, most of the game, the meat of the game is, you know, who you've been all year versus who they've been all year.
Do you find it fair to say that those subtle changes are maybe the difference in a game?
It cumulatively, it all is. But yeah, those can make a huge difference. And, you know, some of the closer games, I mean, games 1 and 4 for us were very close games. So, you know, everything matters in those games. You know, you watch even these other playoff games that are coming down to the wire, or the series that are coming down to the wire. We try to do everything we can to tilt the odds in our favor, you know, whether that's something we've done all year or something that's an adjustment.
Lindy was nominated for the Social Justice Award. I was wondering if I could get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, he's done incredible work in the Indigenous community. He's obviously a great representation of that community. He's had great support. I'll never forget his first year that we converted him. We played a game in Denver, and I went out after the game to see, you know, like one guest, and there were hundreds of people there. And then, you know, just seeing what he's done with his golf tournament, and then the tournament he ran up in Edmond over the summer. He's been incredibly active in that community. He's taken a lot of responsibility on his shoulders there, and leans right into it, and takes a lot of pride in it. So certainly incredibly proud that he's nominated, hopefully wins. But even if, you know, we don't need the award to confirm all the work that he's done, especially in Oklahoma.
Mark, with the position you're in now, I sometimes think about a few of the guys who sort of rolled through here in the 2020, 21, 22 seasons, who are kind of a part of this rebuild but are no longer here.
Yep.
Do you ever think back on how all of them played some part of you guys being in this position now, even if they're no longer here?
100%. 100%. And some more than others. Some were here longer than others. But all the guys that started their careers here, I think have contributed to a certain spirit of professionalism, attacking the program, growing through experiences. You know, the team has always felt like it does now. You know, all the chemistry, camaraderie stuff that's on display right now. It's getting more attention now because we're winning, but it's always been there. It was like this when we were winning 20 games. And then there's a lot of guys that have come through here that this wasn't their first stop, that have brought tremendous value to us. I would use Muscala's name if he wasn't back here. You know, he was definitely in that category. Horford is a guy that comes to mind. You know, just his professionalism. His first year, he was, you know, I think he knew he wasn't going to be here forever. You know, he was coming off of a very difficult situation, and really kind of reinvented himself for a very short period of time, and had a great impact on us. So we have great respect for everybody that has come in the door. Everybody that's come in the door has their fingerprints on our team in one way or the other, some more than others based on how long they were here, but we have great affinity for all those guys.
Jay Will seems to be the ringleader on the bench, always active, always entertaining. I know you're not on the bench because you like to stand and watch, but have you noticed that kind of, how he's kind of been the guy to kind of get things going?
Yeah, he's a great team guy. He's a great energy guy. He brings positive, you know, one of the things that I think gets underrated in a long season is how mundane everything can get. You know, it's just same buses, same hotel, same routine. You know, you're just like, you can be like a zombie sometimes. And so people that are bringing positive energy to that every day are incredibly valuable. And he's bringing that every single day. And the other thing I'll say is he's in his second year. His role is, you know, not consistent. his role, he's not a 30-minute player this season. His role is less than what it was last year, and yet he's still bringing that regardless of what his role is, which I think is a great indicator of his commitment to the team. You know, his commitment to the team transcends what's going on for him individually.
Mark, now that the clip is viral, I imagine you've seen it because you have Twitter. The post-game celebration after a game where everybody's throwing water on you.
Yeah.
You're caught using foul language. Like, what were the events that led up to that, and what were the emotions in it as it's happening?
Well, I didn't know I was being recorded. So, you know, the language that I use when I know, like right now I know I'm being recorded, so my conduct is going to be different than when I, not necessarily knowing I'm being recorded. So, shout out to Dub. So,
what were your emotions in that as it's unfolding? Just as the camera caught you, like, in those raw moments.
Yeah, I mean, excited about the win, you know, excited for the team, proud to be a part of it, you know, same thing that I feel a lot of times, you know, but we won a playoff series on the road. We swept the playoff series, you know, in our first opportunity to do that. You know, when you put that much into it, you know, everyone should enjoy that. You know, we shouldn't be so, you can wake up the next morning and get focused on the next thing, but, you know, you should enjoy the wins and you should feel, you know, lousy after the losses. That's just part of competition.
Mark, I know before you talked about how you watch games on mute and you'll listen to music. Can you ever, like, enjoy basketball, just watch it just as a fan and, like, turn your coach's brain off, or is that sort of just always running?
I'm not, like, analyzing the game. You know, like, I'll watch games casually, just like anybody else. Yeah, I'm not. It's not like I'm just on the couch taking notes. You know, I watched some of that Indiana game casually last night. You know, I'll do that tonight with the games that are on. So yeah, I mean, when it's time to work, I sit down and I work. But you know, if I'm on the couch, I'm not working when I'm watching these games.
The games are likely going to get tougher the longer you go in these playoffs. What's to say this last series you had a blowout, but then you had some more grinder, tougher games.
Yep.
Shots didn't fall that you can win both ways.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, one of the things we talked about coming into the playoffs is that every series is different and every game is different, and every game has its own life. Every series has its own life. No two games or series are the same, and you've got to be ready to adapt to whatever that is. And so, you know, the one thing we haven't had to handle yet is a loss in the playoffs, but you know, in all likelihood, we're going to be facing that at some point, and we're going to have to get back to zero in that situation. So, yeah, I just think being open and understanding that everything's different is an important thing.
Sorry. Oh, we were talking to Josh and Jay Will, and I just asked them, you know, with them going through their first playoff, what that experience was like. And he said that there were some differences, but they said there was a sense of normalcy just in terms of y'all's approach, the habits, and all of those things. How encouraging is that to hear for you as a coach, knowing that that's something that you tried to establish over the course of the season?
Yeah, I think that's the goal, you know, is you want the regular season to build up to something, even when you don't make the playoffs. You know, we didn't make the playoffs last year, but like I've said to you guys before, if you know we have to change a bunch of things in the playoffs in terms of the environment or the approach or our tactics, then we need to change things in the regular season. You know, you shouldn't be, you know, flipping a switch at this time of year. This time of year should be a culmination of everything you've been doing, and it's felt like that to this point.
Mark, just going back to the celebration, a couple of the guys that we talked to before you were just saying that part of them throwing water on you was because you won Coach of the Year. They wanted to celebrate that. I just wonder, as someone who's fostered those relationships organically without maybe forcing that, like what that feels like to know they feel so strongly about you.
Yeah, I think that's what makes the team special is they appreciate the success of other people in an environment that there's a lot of like individualism in professional sports. I mean, you have your own contract, your own career, your own ambitions, your own goals. You know, you're not guaranteed to be anywhere for any, you know, particular period of time. And so all of those things can pull away at the fabric of a team being a team. And to the credit of our players, they, you know, have stayed inside the team in that macro environment. You know, they care about the team, they care about the whole being better than the sum, and they root for each other's success. That's part of the Jay Will answer I gave. You know, it's like he's playing 9 minutes in a game, and yet at the end of that game, when a guy hits a three, he's the guy up on the bench, you know, cheering for that guy. that, example you're giving is another example of that. Like, I was recognized with an individual award. Obviously, there's a lot of people that contribute to that, but they're happy for someone else's success. It's just a trait that this particular group of guys has that I think is pretty unique and pretty special, and one that we don't take for granted.
And some weeks back, you were just talking about, I think we were just talking about college basketball, and you were asked like whether you thought you were going to be a college coach, and you said that you thought the plan was always that you were going to be a high school coach. Do you ever think back to what that reality might have looked like?
Yeah, I mean, I said this the other day when you guys asked me something like, my life is like this is quite the ride. I've been extremely lucky and fortunate with breaks that I've gotten, opportunities I've gotten, responsibilities I've been given, people that have believed in me. Like I was not supposed to be here, and so I'm the first one to admit that. Now, I am here, I have this responsibility, I have this opportunity, and so I would just try to make sure I reinvest that into the people that I have the opportunity to work with every day, especially the players.
Knowing who you were at, 18, 19, would you have given yourself a chance, who you are now?
No. I mean, I wasn't really thinking like that at that time. I wasn't like, my head wasn't in the clouds. When I was 18 or 19, I was just happy that I could go to UConn practice, and see those guys practice every day, see a Hall of Fame coach them. I thought I had the best job in the world at that time. And really every job I've ever had, I felt like the luckiest person in the world.
You on those UConn staffs that came in Oklahoma, right? Lloyd Noble, were you around on that?
I never traveled here. They came here. I remember they played like Hollis Price was here, right? Yeah. They were. I don't think I didn't come here. Okay. I think I was there when Oklahoma went there. Samson was there, right?
Yeah, they had like a 4-game series, 2 there, 2 here.
Yeah, both programs were really good at that time, but I don't think I came here.
After game 4, Shea was talking about your unique relationship between the two of you, and he mentioned something about sort of you getting your start as a head coach right as his role changed and he sort of became the guy. How much does that sort of like helped your relationship that you guys have been sort of like on a similar timeline in a big spot, sort of finding your way?
Yeah, I think that's that's not accidental. I think that's some of the wisdom of what Sam's done with this second time around is, he was very transparent at that time about what the plan was and what we were doing, and it gave everybody the same starting point, so there was a clear delineation there. It was like, okay, we're going from right now, there's a new coach. He traded a lot of guys off the previous year's team. We had a couple of vets. Obviously I mentioned Horford already, a couple guys come in, but the whole idea was to kind of like start toeing the soil a little bit and start planning, from the same point. And when you do that, it gives, the garden a chance to grow together. And that's included a lot of the players, including Shea, Lou, Cameron Williams was here at that time, and our coaching staff, so it was extremely helpful, but it also wasn't accidental.